Hello, 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 hello. Okay, we are back. Listen, bloopers are real, guys. We had some technical difficulties there. Welcome back to Tried, Tested, Conquered. Thank you for the viewers that let me know immediately, hey, we can't hear you, we can't see you. So we're back. Definitely let us know that you can hear us because this is some good stuff today. We have none other than Dr. Yusef Salaam. I pray that I said your last name right. One of the Central Park Five. We know the story, and I know this story was made worldwide when the movie. When they
When they
see
see
us.
us.
So we have Yusef himself in the room, Dr. Yusef. So thank you again for blessing our platform here. And now that we've gotten through the bloopers, maybe we needed to warm up. I'll look at it that way. We're going to go ahead and go on and introduce you to this blessed platform of people that are looking forward to hearing your story directly from you, Bella.
It's your girl Bella, tried, tested, and conquered. That's what we do. Now, in 1989, at just 15 years young, Dr. Yusef Salaam was tried and convicted in the Central Park jogger case along with four other blacks and Latino young men, that was.
Yes.
After almost 7 years behind bars, 7 years behind bars, he did a crime that he did not commit. Yusef's case was overturned and he was just set free. His life was forever changed, as you can imagine, by his experiences. And since his release, he has allocated for criminal justice reform, prison reform, and the abolition of juvenile solidarity confinement and capital punishment. Yusef has shared his story and stands on many platforms, including CNN, MSNBC, Revolt TV, NPR Atlanta, Fox, and now yours truly, OPNS 97.1. Without further ado, OPNS family, let's reintroduce and give them a warm welcome of applause to Dr. Yusef Salaam.
Yes, yes, welcome,
Welcome.
welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. My pleasure.
All right. So I guess we'll jump right on into the questions. I always like to open up whenever I'm interviewing and, give the interviewee, so to speak, an opportunity to let the listeners know who is Dr. Yusef.
Well, so Dr. Yusef Salaam is a family man. He's a civil rights activist, a human rights activist. Used to be known as a prison reform activist, but now known as a prison abolitionist,
Mm.
a truth teller. Hopefully, giving us an opportunity to see the truth about America and what we are really fighting for, and that this is not just about political gains or anything like that, but we're talking really about our lives. And
Mm.
everyone wants to relegate things to just, oh, this is just business, this is just politics. But all of it, when you realize that they have separated the church and state, they are still operating, and the awful, overwhelming spike wheels of justice has been mowing us down as we live in this country without privilege, but yet are known as Americans without privilege, but yet, as Dr. James Baldwin said, we are African Americans, African without consciousness, and American without any privilege.
Yes.
Now, and I'm listening to you, and a lot of people would say, that's one way to look at it. But I feel like when you've journeyed through something the way you did at such a young, delicate age, a young, delicate stage in your life where you should have been, looking at the way your life was depicted in the movie, a scholar somewhere. I don't really see you as the one that would have been on the basketball field or things of that nature, basketball court or things of that nature. So listening to you, this is real. This is real for you. You experienced such a high level of injustice, and now it's almost like that pain pushed you into your purpose of being an advocate. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I've often said that if you look at the Central Park jogger case from a completely different angle, you'll see something that you perhaps never would have understood that you could see. And we say it in the Black and brown community that God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. You see, you have a people who plan and plot but God is the
Mm.
best of planners and best of plotters. And so the
Yes.
Tupac Jonga case, looked at from a different angle, is actually a love story between God and his people. It's a
All right.
story of a criminal system of injustice turned on its side in order to produce a miracle in modern times. It's a story about how a people can be brought low only to rise because the truth can never stay buried. And it's also a story about how a people can be buried alive and forgotten. The system forgot we were seeds. And instead of a social death, we've emerged like the phoenix from the ashes. Because as they built the fire to consume us, they forgot the owner of the heat. You see,
Mm.
Mm,
once you get plugged into the source of all sources, once you get
Yes.
plugged into the owner of everything, you
Yes.
begin to live a life without fear. Because fear becomes what you really truly understand it to be, false evidence appearing real. And so you can live
yes.
your life as full as you can and die, as my good friend Les Brown always says, die empty. Live full and die empty. Give it all. Do everything that you're supposed to be here. And so I truly believe that as we are being awakened to our purpose, we have to do that in such a way that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said. He said, when you find your purpose in life, do you to do it at this very moment.
Mm.
And if it's your purpose to be a street sweeper, then sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, like Beethoven composed music, like Leoton Price sang before the opera. We don't get a chance to do it all over again. We have to do everything we can do it
That's right.
now. And like I always tell people, one of the biggest challenges when you realize that you have to be fearless in this day and age is that as soon as you put yourself on someday isle, that island will never get to, and you'll be one of those people full of regret at the end of your life, has been said by so many. And Les Brown reintroduced me to it. He said, you know, the worst place to be is on your deathbed. And instead
Mm.
of your family praying for you as you grow, as you go over to the next side, but imagine your hopes, dreams, and aspirations coming to visit you, knowing that you were the ones that could give it life. But because you didn't, they're going to die with you. So not everybody lives, but everybody dies.
That's
So we got to
good.
That's
live
good. That's
full
good.
and die
Dr.
empty.
Yusef, I know we met in 2018 at the Congressional Black Caucus, and I had the privilege of speaking with you in Exonerated Five as you were getting your Pinnacle Award at the time in 2018. We had great dialogue, and something that you said struck me then. I want to pose it to the audience so they can understand. What do you mean when you say criminal system of injustice? What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm going to read something to you that will perhaps shed more light on what it is, because everything that is done through this system is legal. Remember, slavery was legal. So this was something that was said by my late great attorney, William Kunstler. He said this in SUNY Buffalo on May 13th, 1995. And he says that's the terrible myth of organized society, that everything that's done through the established system is legal. And that word has a powerful psychological impact. It makes people believe that there is an order to life and an order to a system. And that person that has gone through this order and is convicted has gotten all that is due them. And therefore, society can turn its consciousness off and look to other things in other times. And that's the terrible thing about these past trials. It's that they have this aura of legitimacy, this aura of legality. I suspect that better men than the world has known, and more of them have gone to their deaths through a system, through a
Mm.
legal system, than through all the illegalities in the history of man.
Mm,
6 million people in Europe during the Third Reich, legal. Sacco Vanzetti, quite legal. The Haymarket defendants, legal. The hundreds of rape trials throughout the South where black men were condemned to death, all legal. Jesus, legal. Socrates, legal. And that's the kaleidoscopic nature of what we live through here and in other places, because all tyrants know that it's far better to do this thing through some semblance of legality than to do it without that pretense. As we begin to really understand what the criminal justice system is, it is a system that in the origin story, like we always see these origin movies, origin stories, and a lot of the origin stories are really profound because it tells you how you got to where you are.
Mhm.
And so in the origin story of the criminal justice system, you have the imagination of the founding fathers saying, we the people. And when they said we the people, guess what? Black and brown folks were still
What-
considered three-fifths of a human being.
That's
We
right.
weren't
Right.
considered people. We were
That's right.
subhuman in their minds.
That's right.
When you look at that and you realize that through the overwhelming books that have been presented, books like The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, we get a real true history about what's going on. That when they emancipated us through the Emancipation Proclamation, 100 years after that, Dr. King was on the mall calling for freedom and jobs and justice. 57 years after that, we just had another march on Washington where we were calling for the same thing.
Right.
And see, the truth of the matter is that in the imagination of the founding fathers, the system is not broken. The system is
Mm.
actually alive and sick.
And
The
well.
system is working exactly as it was designed. And so, as we think about it, we think sometimes, oh, we have to reform the system. Well, that's just like a people trying to call and cry out to the heartstrings of a people who have become savage. And the truth of the matter is that you cannot turn a people who have become savage into
Right.
human beings again. They have to turn
Absolutely.
themselves back
They,
into the true justice and equality that we are supposed to be seeking, because this is the kaleidoscope of the human family.
Right.
And once we realize that we have to live with our neighbors, right? Every single one of us is a neighbor to someone. But yet systemically, they've created a system of haves and have-nots. They told people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and they don't have any boots. They
ah,
told people stop being poor when they've created poverty through things like redlining. They've
Yes.
yes.
created experiments and called them projects. And then they put rats and roaches in there, which makes our family members not want to go and visit them. Because if we stay over at night and we wake up in the morning and we want to eat Diggum Smacks, as an example, it's a scary thing to eat Diggum Smacks in a house that has roaches.
Oh
You are
yeah, you're
absolutely
right.
right. You are
Yeah.
right. Wow. It's almost like, no, it's not almost like it very much so is what I'm hearing. Um, when this incident took place in your life, an incident seems like such a minimal word. Um, when you were going through this with the being part of these five young men who innocent lives were, I would say, at that moment, it seemed to be destroyed. But there was something about you, and even watching the young man portray you in the movie, there was a certain level of certainty that you knew that you had. It's like, no, I'm not going to fall victim to this. No, I did not do this. I am not going to lie about this. Where do you think that tenacity, that strength, that, you didn't hesitate to stand on what I could hear my grandmother saying, right and righteousness? Where did that come from?
Well, a lot of it, a big deal of it came from my parents. My mother, those of us who've seen When They See Us, get an opportunity to see her coming into the interrogation room and getting me out of the clutches of the
Yes,
inmate,
I
Yes.
loved it.
you know.
Powerful.
But what they didn't show, which is something that happened that night, was that she had an opportunity to speak to me. And when she got that moment, she didn't say to me, how are they treating you? Do you need anything? Did you get some milk and cookies? She gave me my last marching orders. She told me, and this is something that I tell everyone because they need to understand how important and impactful this is. She told me, stop talking to them. She said, they need you to participate in whatever it is that they're trying to do. Do not participate, refuse. I then had to believe that I had the strength to refuse. I had to believe that I was not the definition that they have given me, but that I was more than that. And so while I was in prison, I prayed. And they say, when you pray, it's like you're talking to God. And I married my prayers with
Ah,
meditation. And they say meditation is like when God talks back. And so as you begin to move in your life, even though you seem like you're walking through hell, as they always say, keep on walking. The
keep on.
darkest hour is just before the dawn. You have to be able to fall down 9 times, as the great philosopher Cardi B said, fall down 9 times and get up 10. You cannot stay down. You have to be able to have a certain um, understanding of life, that you were born on purpose. And if you don't believe me, anyone can bear witness that when your mother and father got together, every single one of us were one of over 400 million options
Come
racing
on.
to the end. And it's a very miracle that we made it. And so,
We
therefore, because we made it, we know that we were not only born on purpose, but we were born with a
we
purpose.
Say that
yes.
again. Say that
Once
again,
you,
please,
yeah,
Yusef.
once you reorient yourself to the fact that you were born on purpose and with a purpose, I don't care what the system tells you. I don't care what the world tells you. I don't care what even
Come on.
family may tell you. Some people will tell you you ain't worth nothing.
Come on.
And if you believe that, if
Mm,
you believe you're not worth nothing, you begin to move throughout your life like you're a mistake. But the truth of the matter is that you're worth everything. And so psychosocially you matter. And I think it's important that the caretakers right now of today, those who are doing a bad job or a good job, understand how important it is to pour water on the seeds of greatness of the youth that will be the caretakers of tomorrow.
yes.
Because
Yes.
when you give them the overwhelming understanding that they matter, they will rise to the occasion. They will become their best selves. They will do things that look magical right before our eyes. And that's what we
Yes.
need. We need humanity to be given back to us. We need us to be able to realize that even if they do not give us anything, we have to give ourselves everything. And we have to live in that truth.
I had a conversation with a relative of mine, and then I'm definitely gonna let you jump back into these awesome clusters. You're blowing my mind here. I had a conversation with a relative of mine this morning, in reference to recognizing the greatness that is on the inside of you. The world would look at the thing that they yearn to have in envy and dumb it down or talk it down just so you don't know just how awesomely created you were. You were
Mm,
created with a purpose. And the fact that, you know what, if I actually get an inkling of the fabric that I'm woven from, look out, world. There's nothing you can take from me. There's nothing that you can do to me. I salute your mother for being the parent. God gave us children to train them up in the way that they were supposed to go, not automatically teach them to fold in the face of adversity. I salute her. And that is what parenting is all about. Because I do believe that if she would not have fed you that gem at that moment, you would have turned out to be a different person. I salute your mother, Bella. Wow.
Yusef, we had
Wow.
lots of conversations back in 2018, and we know that a day is upon us. This is the day before the final vote for the election of the President of the United States. And I have to ask you, with every strength in my body, what do you say to people who think that their vote doesn't matter or that it won't change anything?
what I say to people, and you have to understand this, we live in America. Regardless of whether you believe it or not, if they come and pull up behind you and the lights come on and you start getting a heartbeat that's quicker than anything, you get that heartbeat because you know that they could kill you at that moment or they could let you go and have mercy. We live in a country where everything that we are living under is based on the voting process. We've been taught only that the next 4 years matters. But the truth of the matter is that every single day of our life matters. And so when you fail to participate in a system that will operate and continue to run with or without you, non-participation is participation. You have just given over your most powerful most powerful weapon, the vote, over to the enemy. And whatever we get is whatever they want. But as much as we can participate, we have to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we are not outnumbered. We definitely are out organized. And so when you look around, I want you to realize that we are not the minority, which is what they want you to believe, but we are actually the majority. And so as we unify ourselves, and I truly believe that part of 2020 is symbolic in that 2020 represents perfect vision. And
Mm,
in us understanding what this perfect vision is, we've had two major pandemics that we've been fighting. One that we've been fighting since we've been born, and that is the pandemic of oppression, and the other
Yes.
that we've been fighting since the beginning, perhaps the ending of last year, which is the COVID-19. And I think that as we look at it all, we have to be able to realize that this is not about the next 4 years. This is definitely about the rest of our lives and the lives of our generations to come. And so as we plan, we cannot plan for just the weekend. We cannot plan for just the next 4 years. We have to have intergenerational plans that break the generational curses that have been placed upon us. And so, as we package our DNA into the baton for the future, our deoxyribonucleic acid is passed forward to our generations, and they know exactly what to do and what not to do. They know exactly what is important and what is not important. They will change the future that we have been exhibiting and offered in America to be a future where we are in control as the humanity of a people, bringing forth true justice, true liberty, true equality, and true freedom.
Mm.
mm. I tell you, Yusef, I often speak to a lot of people. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and my parents raised me to understand that we are kings and queens and our ancestors. And I often say to people, if you don't understand and know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. What would you say? Because there's millions of people out there, but to the OPNS family, for a lot of the young people, I focus in on. I have a 30-year-old daughter. And what do you say to the millennials and the young people 30 and under? To me, they just don't take the time to understand and learn our history. What do you say to people like that, just in general?
Well, well, I'm gonna tell you, it's not really about that we don't take the time to understand and learn our history. I think I heard Dr. Angela Davis say something that was really
Yeah.
interesting and informative. And what Dr. Angela Davis said was, we as a people have historical amnesia. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting.
Wow.
And then I realized that it's not because we want to or choose to, but it's because we've been socialized not to know. And so why is it that we know about the third right, but we have no idea what the second right or the first right was?
Mhm.
Mm.
There's
Wow.
something really deep about that. And I'm putting those seeds out there not to explain it, but really to have people research for themselves to understand what those things are, right? Why is it that here we are in a country where we've been told slavery was so long ago? Slavery was just yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the concerted effort comes when they say to us that they'll give us um, money to live. When Kanye West was more sane, as they would say, he said, even if you in a Benz, you still a nig in a coupe.
Mm.
And what he was
Ah,
alluding to was that we are riding around in their construct. We are
right.
riding around in their world. No
Right.
matter how much they give us in order to ride around more freely, we are still inside of their coop. We have to figure out how to dismantle, how to destroy the coop that has had their oppressive knee on our necks, so that we make sure that we never again will allow them to do so.
To say how to dismantle the coop. I love that. I love that. And I always say one day at a time, you know, here we grow, address and make sure that you make the right decisions. I think you said that earlier in the broadcast. They'll be sitting around pounding for times that may come or may not come. Maximize the time, the space that you have to be the one to implement change. So in order to change as you say, would you say that it takes us, the elders, us, the older ones, standing on foundation, a solid foundation to make sure that it is at the top of our list? That's good. Money is always at the top of our list of focus, right? But it is not the money that raises the child. If we take the time to pour into the child, to let them know who they are, what they possess, and what they can be, isn't that the way we change this norm that has been forced on us for years, for generations? Isn't that how we change?
I think that there's a truth to that, but I also believe that there has been an understanding from the youth that the young people are feeling like our elders have dropped the ball.
Yes.
Yes,
And
and I
I'm not
agree.
saying, yeah, and I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying that,
Right?
when I was listening to what Dave Chappelle said, and Dave Chappelle, he said something to the effect, people have been asking about where are the celebrities? Or how come they are not in the streets? And he said the streets do not need celebrity voices, but they do need celebrity support because the young people are talking about the truth, and we need to support them in a way that we've never supported them before. Because what's happened, I'm telling you, what's happened is that young people created terms like YOLO, you only live once. But wrapped in their understanding of YOLO, even though YOLO is true, is that you should live recklessly because you're not promised tomorrow. You should drink all the drinks that you can, sleep with all the people that you can, do it all because tomorrow you're not promised. Spend all of the checks, even though the song
Mm,
says spend the check and get it right back. And then what happens 50 years later? You still been doing the same thing you've been doing for all of your life. You just had a wasted life. And so our opportunity now is to truly understand, yes, we only have one life to live, and we have to make this our best life. We have to do everything we can in order to do everything we can to live free.
mm,
Mm, mm, mm.
that's good. That's
You
good.
said, tell us about your new book, Punching the Air, and share with the audience and our family. What are you doing today?
Punching the air is really punching the air is the water for the seeds of greatness inside every young person. I just want to read something to you, perhaps to shed light on what's in this book. This is called Clone. It's on the 56th page. Clone. Ever since that day in the fifth grade, my teachers watched me so hard, so close, that I felt like I was trying to break out of prison, even though it was just school. Every dumb thing I did, they thought it was because of trouble at home, an absent father, a tired mother, not enough books, not enough vegetables, not enough sleep. They believed those lies about me and made themselves a whole other boy in their minds and replaced me with him. I've been
Mm,
having the opportunity to travel vicariously around the world and to um, be a part of some great conversations as it relates to punching the air with my co-author Ibi Zaboy. And I tell you that this is really a profound moment for us because in COVID-19 we've watched all the movies. Like if you travel anywhere and you happen to be on a plane and you like, wait, they're supposed to show us the new stuff. We've seen all the movies. We go to Netflix, we've
Right.
seen everything. We've gotten an opportunity now to go back to the greatest of our wherewithals, which is using our imagination by reading books.
Mm,
And so Punching the Air shows up right on time. It talks about the oppression that we've been experiencing in this country, and it could have shown up 20 years ago and been just as relevant. But I truly think that Punching the Air is giving us the opportunity to pour into young people, to let them know that they are our greatest asset and that we believe in them, even if they are in the most darkest places.
so where can we find Punch in the Air? Where can we go to
Punching
purchase this book?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Punching the Air it can be found wherever books are sold. We always tell people to support your local bookstores if you can.
Mhm.
But if you don't have access, you can definitely go to barnesandnobles.com. You can go to Amazon. You can go to HarperCollins. Wherever books are sold, this book is being sold right now. And we are in the process also of translating it into different languages so that people
Awesome.
around the world will be able to read it in their own language.
Awesome. That's awesome. And we have a few more minutes, and we could talk and talk and talk, but you said anything that you want to impart to the family and listening audience, just in terms of your experience, where we've been, where we're going. This is critical times. This is an unprecedented time in the nation. We want to hear from
Well, I mean, I think that at this very dark hour, we have to do everything we can to fight. At this moment, we have to say to ourselves, is it just about the next 4 years, or is it about the rest of our lives? And so we have to begin to move in a manner that has that as our truth, because it's not just about the next 4 years. We have to vote like our lives depend on it, because we are underneath the system of oppression in America. And we can't just say, I'm not going to participate. Non participation is participation. So let's vote. Let's get free.
Ah, I like that. Let's get free. You have been a blessing to me on this day, and I'm pretty sure the listeners, if you guys have any questions for Mr. Salam, we are getting ready to close this out. Understanding, your life, your journey seemed like it started real dark as one of the Central Park Five. But it's amazing how, because of the fabric that you're woven from, you did not fall in the face of adversity. You did not take on the identity of what they chose to call you. You chose to stand in your truth of who you are and what you represent. And I feel that if a lot of us do just that, the complications of the world, they won't devour us. The uncertainties of the world, we won't drown in them. And the message, the lesson that I got from you today was be who you are, full in full effect. Stand on who you know you are. And I think he said, don't participate.
Don't participate.
Because they need your participation to destroy you. I will
Yes, indeed.
forever remember that. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And it's amazing, this latter part of your life. You had no control of what took place in that season of your life. But now you're choosing to use the dominion that was graced upon you to tell all of the mountains, you got to get up and move out of the way. I got some teaching to do. I got to go be there for it. And part of your journey landed right here today in obedience. And I am so grateful. And I know that our paths will cross again. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for not considering it robbery to share with the world via our platform today. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
This is your girl Bella with OPNS 97.1. I am absolutely full. I'm not doing a cartwheel today, Yusef. It's standing in my truth, and I appreciate you, and I will continue on. So without further ado, don't you touch that dial. Be right back.
I'll be right back. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, we